Welcome to Ali Fitness Podcast, a weekly production all about bringing health into fitness. In 2005, neurobiologist Jusso Nissilä introduced his childhood friend, Antti, to the use of bright light therapy administered through the ear. During his time as a student of biology, Juuso had been conducting research to test and prove that the human brain is photosensitive, as in the same way that many animal brains have been proven to be. Through this, he developed the concept of Valkee, and in 2007 they launched what you may have already heard about, the HumanCharger, the world's first bright light therapy headset device. So firstly, welcome to the show, Juuso.
Thank you so much. Nice to be here.
So I'm fascinated with how you even came to invent such a product. Can you tell us a bit more about your background and how you came to invent the HumanCharger?
Yes. The department I was studying was Oulu University biology department, and there was a long history of research on animals, like perception, like in circadian and annual rhythmicity. In biology, it's been normal idea since 1911 that animals are having light sensing capacity, even photoreceptors in the central nervous system, in the brain even. That's something that's been forgotten in human studies for decades, and it looked very natural idea that they should be here in human brain also. And actually, there's some thinking that since the bright light needed to turn our mood better seems to be so high, it clearly exceeds the amounts of light needed via eyes to have circadian rhythm cues. So it looked a very tempting idea, and we prototyped and had some first very good results on ourselves. And then we made bigger and bigger researches and got our device onto market after all.
And how long did that take?
Actually, our first product came into market on 2010. So we started prototyping, and the first researches we started on 2007 and 2008. So it was like 2 or 3 years development and running the first clinical trial to have the device that had a clinical proof to be marketed for seasonal affective disorder in Europe.
Okay, I'd like to come back and talk to you more about the clinical studies and the clinical proof. But before I do, I wanted to ask you, is it true that when used for 12 minutes a day, it can significantly increase your energy levels, improve mood, and increase your mental alertness?
Yeah, we ended up in using that 12 minutes dose since it was the first one we were using in our clinical trials, and we adjusted our devices accordingly. And since then, we have been using that amount of time. It looks very, very suitable. Yeah, it definitely works. So we have trials on seasonal affective disorder, or you can also call it winter blues. We have had placebo-controlled trials on human cognition and jet lag, for example. All of them, they are showing that your daytime sleepiness is decreasing and your energy levels and cognitive speed is increasing. They are very nicely supported with the results we are having from functional magnetic resonance imaging. So we have found that those areas that participate in the visual functioning in the brain, they are changed once you give the treatment into brain. And also those cognitive functioning, it's most visible in the area of on the motoric reaction speed to visual information. So it looks...
So in practical terms, for our listeners that haven't used it before, what does it look like? How do you use it? And what sort of effects do you feel or see straight away?
Some people, they can immediately feel that they can get rid of anxious feelings in quite a short time. Our device is very small. It's like earpod and small earplugs that you put on, and you use dose, which is 12 minutes. And in our research, there's been the first senses that something is changing is they are coming within a few minutes or tens of minutes. And to see a change in your mood takes 1 or 2 or 3 weeks to really notice that you are functioning better and you are feeling more happy and less depressed.
Okay, and so what's actually happening on a scientific level then?
Well, that's something that no one knows exactly right now. But basically, light has 2 ways of affecting brain. It's changing your circadian rhythm. So in the morning, you are going to wake up, and the time of the evening, you are going to feel yourself sleepy. So that's the circadian rhythm. And this is the functioning that's mostly delivered via eyes, via retinohypothalamic tract, which originates from the retina and ends up into pineal gland. So that's very well established and the most strongly researched and shown area. But also in all animals, there's also annual rhythmicity, which is encoded in the ways that when the days are getting longer in the spring, animals are understanding that now it's coming a spring and summer and they start to reproduce. And also when the days are getting shorter in the fall, they are understanding that the winter is about to come and they start to collect more energy, eating more, getting fatter. And in some cases, like in bears, they are preparing for winter sleep. It's very important to understand that there's two levels of information that light can bring. And when it comes to annual rhythmicity, so many features that human beings are feeling in the fall, they are basically like normal feelings that also animals are feeling when the fall is coming. So they are getting less energy. They are trying to avoid extra activity and trying to collect energy as a fat in the body. Winter blues is basically normal thing to happen to mammals.
If it increases your energy levels, is it best to use it in the morning?
Yeah. So that's the most normal way to use it. So most people are experiencing that morning time, something between 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. is the best time. There's some personal variation on the optimal time. For example, me, if I'm taking too early, I will get like overactivated during the day and I'm starting to have 2 short nights. My optimal time is close to 9 a.m. and some people are experiencing that 7 to 8 is better. And also there's 20% of people who are experiencing that they get the best effect when using at the evening time, so before the bedtime. There's also scientific research on like classical bright light therapy lamps used before the bedtime and relieving the anxiety that especially elderly people are having when before the bedtime. So some people are even using before bedtime, but that's minority.
Okay, so you simply just put the device in your ears, and do you hear any sounds?
Yes, you don't hear any sound. So you just press a button and those lights are lit up and they will automatically stop when the 12 minutes dose is over.
And do you need to sit still during that 12 minutes?
You can do your normal morning routine. So they are keeping in your ear canals quite nicely so they don't pull off.
So once we start using this, so would you imagine that if I'd never used it before and I started using it for 12 minutes, I'd straight away feel some effects?
Well, it depends. Actually, I have not been collecting information that how people are on scientific basis, that how people are feeling immediately after the first dose ever. I can still remember some people saying to me that immediately after the first dose ever experience, they felt like more bright view. That might have something to do with the knowledge that we are affecting the cortical actions on visual and motoric areas. So for some people, light seems to be more bright place immediately.
And so have there been actually any double-blind peer-reviewed studies on this?
Yeah, well, we have done actually quite many of them. So the biggest we are having is done on jet lag. So actually we have the first bright light therapy research done on field with double-blinded way. So we could prove that the time that you recover from jet lag is 50% faster when using a HumanCharger or Valkee device.
Okay, and so how many people did you do the review with jet lag for?
Wow, now I have to memorize. It was, I guess it was 63 or something. But
63 people.
Yeah, but what is most important is that the result were significant. So any result that you can do with the statistical significance is dealing with enough of subjects. So
sure, and 50% is quite a lot. But has there been any others that you could tell us about?
Yeah, we have also placebo-controlled trials on cognitive persons on athletes. And well, now I have to memorize because I have been more oriented to research on opsin proteins in human brain. But
that's all right. I won't put you on the spot, but just from memory, the athletic one interests me. Was that a performance-based study?
Yeah, it was measured the reaction speed of top Finnish hockey league players, and they changed the reaction speed on visual stimuli. So the result was most visible on reaction speed, which was after giving a visual challenge. So they could react faster when they saw the how do you say it? Visual stimuli. They had to react on the light bulbs which were lit.
Okay.
And the reaction speed was measured.
Reaction
and
time.
That was, reaction time. And that was placebo-controlled trial also.
Okay. Well, if it's okay with you, we'll link to those in the show notes. If you can send me those, that'd be great.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I should have prepared to send all of them, but basically they are on www.valkee.com page. They are downloadable.
Okay, great. We'll link to those.
Yeah, and they are peer-reviewed, published articles, so they are full science.
Okay. I mean, I've definitely had a lot of anecdotal evidence from friends and associates that have told me that they've used it and got good results. There's obviously a lot of similar products out there in the marketplace. How does yours differ, the HumanCharger, differ to the others?
Yeah, actually, I didn't know that there is already transcranial light devices. Of course, there's lots of those classical bright light lamps that are giving light all over your head and like normal lamps, but I didn't know that there is already something which is similar to our product.
Oh, okay. So like, for example, have you heard of Juve?
No, actually I haven't. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you must research your competitors.
Yeah, I have been doing also other businesses recently, so 3.5 years, yeah.
Okay, and we also hear a lot about infrared light. Is that similar or does it have any similarities?
It has some overlapping effects. So in Valkee or HumanCharger, we are using visible light, which also has some infrared light left, and that we have let there intentionally because we were aware that infrared light has some positive effects, but basically they are focusing on different mechanisms. We wanted to target those blue light sensing neurons in the brain. So that was our target. And infrared light is doing different things. It's affecting via more ancient roots in the cells. Yeah, they are doing the different thing, but overlapping somewhat on our device effects.
Okay. And are there any known side effects with the HumanCharger? Is there anyone that shouldn't use it?
We have measured quite throughoutly the side effects, of course, because those clinical settings, they need that routine. And the most normal side effects have been like headache for 1 or 2 days on the start of the treatment period. But we haven't found any dangerous ones. Basically, we are imitating sunlight quite closely. If light would be harmful, so people would experience the somnodams very hard. Yeah.
So it's only really a headache that you've heard of so far?
Yeah, okay. That's the most normal.
And presumably, if it acts like sunlight, would that mean that someone that lives in an area where there's not so much sunlight could potentially stop taking vitamin D supplements and use this instead?
We don't have ultraviolet lights, and we don't light a lot big areas of the skin, so we don't have anything to do with vitamin D production. So our effect is not delivered via vitamin D at all.
Okay, so it's not a substitute for vitamin D then?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no. Yeah, so we have 0% of ultraviolet light on our device.
Okay, although it does give a similar effect to what vitamin D would give, is that right?
I guess the effect that light is giving to neural system when adjusting the circadian or annual rhythm, it's totally distinct from the effects of vitamin D. So I haven't found any article claiming that winter blues and vitamin D per se would have any close relation. So that's only my opinion. And maybe if I had more literature to be reviewed, I might change my view. But my opinion is that vitamin D and winter depression doesn't have any common.
Okay.
But of course, you need to supplement vitamin D during the winter times.
Okay. So I guess it leads me to my next question about some responses that I guess to Valkee that I've seen just in social media and on the internet, and one in particular from earlightswindle.com. Now, who they are, I'm not sure, but they claim that Valkee produced, and I'll quote, a profound pool of pseudoscience, junk studies, and fabricated results. Mimicking true research, they were able to deceive the media in Finland and abroad. What's your response to something like that? I'm sure you hear it all the time.
Yeah, we have heard of it. It's, I guess it's quite normal fake baits or something. It's totally unprofessional. We are very careful not to speak anything that we haven't published on true scientific ways. So our articles are peer-reviewed and published in real scientific journals. This is something that we have been seeing in social media more and more nowadays. Attempts to try to put down normal things and fake news would be the right word to say what they are doing. And maybe this is also something to do with Finnish mental environment. Sometimes in Finland, there's people like to shoot down the young companies. So I don't know, does it happen anywhere in the
I think
in
that's
the globe?
pretty common.
Yeah. Maybe also elsewhere than in Finland. But
I guess especially with a company like yours where it sounds a bit, especially for someone who's not really scientifically based, it just sounds a bit woo-woo, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I mean, when I first heard it, I found it quite, I guess, a bit pseudoscience-y, but then from a lot of anecdotal evidence I've had, then I would have to say that it seems to work. But I'm glad to see that there's a lot of peer-reviewed studies, and so people can look into it for themselves.
Yeah, we did understand that this might be difficult when we were founding the company because normally, especially in health technology or biosciences, the way from science to products is very long. And actually, people have been used to hear the very old language from old science, from the doctors and so on. We were very bold when we decided that we are going to be very transparent and deliver our scientific findings immediately to our customers without having that years and years of slow science and going by the doctors and from the pharmaceutical companies and such. So we had very strong results and promising cure for lowered mood, and we decided to deliver everything to our customer as soon as possible. And maybe we were too courageous on that. So not all people were taking that very well. And but I think this will be the way in the future. Maybe we were the first one who were acting this way, so empowering the customer.
What's the evolution of the HumanCharger? Do you have any plans for a new product? You mentioned you're doing studies at the moment.
Yeah, we have some plans for a new product, and we are producing a PhD thesis more or less nowadays. So there will be 3 dissertations on Valkee science only quite soon. One of them will be mine, since I get some more time to finalize my thesis, which is only few pages left on that project.
So that's a neurobiologist thesis.
Yeah, I might be one of the first scientists ever in the Earth showing that human brain is photosensitive. That's what I have been able to do. So those opsin proteins that are making neural cells sensing light, also in retina, that was my bold hypothesis that we will find those photoreceptors in brain also, and that's what I have been able to prove.
Wow!
In my articles.
So you mentioned, excuse my ignorance, BHDT. What does that stand for?
PhD work, dissertation. So,
you said PhD.
Yeah, PhD
okay,
work,
sorry, that's just my Australian accent not understanding. Excellent. So in terms of a product, then, can you give us a hint about what that might look like? Is it a secret?
Maybe I'm a bit hesitant for that, but more handy one than the earlier one.
Okay. All right. Stay tuned. Is there any, I guess, sort of advice or, I don't know, anything that you'd like to tell our listeners?
Well, I hope that once we have invented the way to share information globally via internet and social media and everything, I hope that people will come more open to new findings, and also when it comes to biological or medical science. So they have been quite much, should I say, cooperated on pharmaceutical companies, and the information have been used very as a power. And I hope that people get free from this, and that science will be more open, and the delivery from the findings to the customers when it comes to new ways of cure and so on will be shorter and shorter.
And you're obviously contributing to that, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
And so just before I let you go, we ask everyone on the show a personal question about their body. And the question is, do you have a tattoo?
No, I don't.
Have you thought about a Valkee tattoo at any stage or any tattoo?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that sounds something I've been considering, because I have been doing products for fitness and well-being since 2000, first in polar heart rate monitors and then Valkee, and then I have been co-founding and founding companies on the area of fitness and well-being. So maybe someday I will make a list of all the products that I have been invented or contributed.
Excellent.
Might be a good idea.
That might be a full arm tattoo then.
Yeah.
Excellent. Look, thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing us your knowledge.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was fun.
For all the resources and show notes from today's episode, please go to www.ali.fitness. If you liked today's episode, please show your appreciation by going to iTunes, give us a 5-star review and subscribe.